Some of the best teams in baseball are now in need of reinforcements, and they're going to look to the minors for help. Who are they going to call up, and who can help your fantasy team? Let's go over it. Let's try to beat the breakout. The first team I'm referring to, of course, is the Atlanta Braves, who just seems like can't have nice things this year. It was bad enough losing Spencer Strider, their ace, and arguably the best pitcher in the game, and now AJ Smith-Shawver too? Let's just hope they don't lose one of their big offensive players and there goes Ronald Acuna. All right, seriously though, Braves, it's not over. You've still got plenty of talent on that team, but let's just look at the fantasy aspect. As far as Acuna, I don't think there's a single offensive player that obviously can replace him, but also I think they're just going to make do until the trade deadline. But on the pitching front, let's get back to AJ Smith-Shawver, who looked like a great pickup and could be that guy, but now he's out 8 to 10 weeks. They're going to need something else in that rotation. It's too early to pull off a trade, at least I think so, as far as starting pitching goes. So maybe they'll go to their number one prospect, Hurston Waldrop. Now, they've already auditioned several guys. We've seen some names from the past. Bryce Elder made a couple starts and was quickly sent down after looking terrible. Guys like Alan Winans, Darius Vines, just not getting the job done. Maybe it's going to be time very soon to let Waldrop do his thing. Right now in Double-A, and if you look at his season-long stats, it's a little misleading. Now, at the Double-A level, he's got a 2.84 ERA and a 1.38 WHIP. Okay, not bad. You'd like to see that WHIP a little lower, but his very first outing was just complete disaster. Gave up 7 runs in just over 2 innings. His second start wasn't really that great either. So let's just look at May. In his last 4 starts in the month of May, a 0.74 ERA, 0.99 WHIP. He's just been dominant, and this is why he is their top arm in that farm system. Now you could say, well, not a lot of experience, he's so young. What was AJ Smith-Shawver? Waldrop is actually older than Smith-Shawver. Now, he doesn't have any AAA experience, but still, since when is that a prerequisite? Times are getting desperate here for Atlanta. It won't be too much longer, I think, before they give him the call. And maybe he doesn't become a starter at the pro level right away. He could wind up being a bullpen arm. He still could provide value. So, look, someone with upside that could help arguably one of the most talented and best teams in the National League when everybody stays healthy, then it's Hurston Waldrop. So if you got room to stash him, I think this is the time. Now, you've probably been impressed by Robert Gasser in Milwaukee. Another really strong start by him. Told you to stash him a couple of weeks ago, and now I'm going to tell you it's probably time to get Jacob Misiorowski. He is the Brewers' number 1 overall prospect, their top arm, also in Double-A. Very similar numbers to a guy like Hurston Waldrop, who I already mentioned. The ERA is solid, 2.55, but the WHIP, not so great, because he's got 28 walks in 35 innings. But the flip side to that is he's got 47 strikeouts. He knows how to punch hitters out, just still kind of needs to hone in that command. So I think they're going to give him a little bit more time, to focus on that command and not put so many batters on base. Brewers aren't quite desperate for an arm because Gasser has been really good so far, but they did have to just put Joe Ross on the IL. Instead of opting for Misiorowski, they brought up, again, Tobias Myers, who's been okay. I mean, this doesn't feel like a long-term solution for them. Don't know if the Brewers really seem like the buying type that, they're going to wait till the deadline and then go out and get a veteran. They've got the arms in that farm system. So to me, it's just a matter of when, not if Misiorowski gets the call. This guy has a ton of talent. They just need to wait for him to look the part and be ready, or maybe just to get desperate. Either way, this is somebody who's got a ton of arm talent, and the strikeout upside is what you're looking for. So, again, Misiorowski is one of the top stashes for me in terms of starting pitching. All right, now a hitter that you don't have to wonder if he's getting called because Ryan Bliss is already in Seattle. In fact, he's going to be starting tonight because they need somebody at second base. Jorge Polanco already on the IL with another hamstring issue. Should be out for a while, so Bliss is going to get a chance to hold down that job. Unless you really get into prospects, you may not know Bliss, although he was a second-round pick out of Auburn a couple years ago. He was actually selected by Arizona, and then Arizona flipped him to Seattle last year at the deadline. Very unpopular trade for Paul Sewald. Seattle did not want to let him go, but now they might reap the rewards. Bliss has been pretty good. Last year, he was raking at Double-A, hitting .358 with 12 home runs and 30 steals in less than half a season. Then got traded to the Seattle system, struggled for a little bit, especially when he got up to AAA, but this year has been solid again. In 182 at-bats at the AAA level, hitting .247 with 7 home runs and 28 steals. As you can see, speed is the calling card here. A ton of speed and stolen base upside at this point in the season is always nice to pluck off the waivers. Seattle, not necessarily a team that runs a lot, but they will let their guys have the green light if they need it. And this is a team that needs to do something to get that offense going. Finally seeing signs of life. Julio Rodriguez looking like Julio Rodriguez. Still a couple of bats from veterans that are waiting to wake up. This is a very talented offense. Again, if he's just part of it, again, probably going to be hitting bottom of the order, but still, he should have plenty of opportunities to score runs once they turn that lineup over. That brings me to another speedy infielder who was just activated, but then optioned. It's Xavier Edwards for the Marlins. Now, right now in Miami, you got Otto Lopez, who's doing a pretty admirable job at second base. Got a little bit of speed, a little bit of pop, but just to be honest, he's overachieving a little bit. Not a high-end prospect like Edwards. Like, he's earned that job. He's producing. Maybe he keeps it going. I think at some point we do see Xavier Edwards surface at the big league level. No, the only reason he hasn't yet is because he's been out all year. Actually had an infection that kept him off the field. Well, he's finally good to go. That's why he was activated, sent to the minors so he actually can get some time, some at-bats other than just rehab. Small sample, but last year in some time at the major league level, hit .295, wound up 5 steals and 78 at-bats. This is another former Rays infield prospect. They already have Vidal Brujan. Brujan also has extremely good speed. The problem is Vidal Brujan isn't very good at playing defense, which is why he's not a regular. And he's just hitting like in the 250s this year. His bat's not keeping him in the lineup either. And as far as Lopez, I've already gone over that. Look, he'll keep that job for the time being, but Xavier Edwards is the superior talent. This is a guy who was part of the futures game a couple of years ago. You might remember that the Rays actually got him. They traded Tommy Pham and Jake Cronenworth to San Diego in order to get him and Hunter Renfroe. And then inexplicably, they just kind of gave up on him. They traded him in a much less well-known trade to get a couple of middle relievers from the Marlins. I think the talent is still there. This is somebody who obviously has speed, has a good hit tool, just needs a little bit more rep, and then I think he'll be ready. Marlins have him waiting to take over that job. He's one of their top prospects, which these days doesn't mean as much, but still, I think we see him fairly soon. So if you need some speed, this is also a guy that you can take a speculative stash. And then this week's, I'm not a prospect anymore, but please consider me. All right, Garrett Mitchell, let's talk about you because you don't have that many at-bats at the major league level, and we haven't seen you in a long time. I remember a couple years ago, after a September call-up, Garrett Mitchell, just in a short time with the Brewers, in fact, 61 at-bats, he hit .311, a couple home runs, and 8 stolen bases. This is a speedy outfielder who can hit. He's got good defense. I mean, he should be a regular, and he probably was going to be the starting center fielder for the Brewers, except the fact that got hit by a pitch and broke his hand in the spring, which is brutal luck because he already missed almost all of 2023 after just 65 at-bats when he had a shoulder injury and just when he was ready to maybe take that job back. Bad luck in the spring. Mitchell is on rehab, working his way back. We'll probably see him in a couple of weeks. The Brewers just can't seem to settle on too many regulars, especially in the outfield. I think Mitchell has a chance to really lock down a regular job. This is a good lineup. It's a good situation. So I'm going to stash Mitchell and see if he can really recapture some of that late season magic from a couple years ago and just stay healthy. Here to always keep you on top of the latest fantasy baseball news and advice. Don't forget, I just recently ranked my top 50 rest of season starting pitchers. If you haven't caught it yet, it's not too late.